if you don't know, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So today we're going to be talking about actual goals, actual things that you can get done, that you can implement in 2019. So let's just jump right in. And I want you to start thinking about some different things. So first of all, next year or 2019, what is your revenue target? If you know how much you're doing this year, how much are you wanting to hit next year? Is it a 10% increase? Is it a 5% increase? Is it to make the same amount? What number are you hoping to get to next year? I would probably shoot a little bit high because, like I said, it's just a wish if you don't have it written down, if you don't have it in play and, in your mind, that kind of stuff. Then we're going to talk about how you can break that down, basically divide by 12, of course, to figure out how much you're going to make monthly. How many purchases will that require? What is your average transaction value? So this is something to definitely be thinking about. If you don't know what your average transaction value is, that's something that you may have to work with your accountant to do, or if you can get into QuickBooks or something like that and figure out how much you made over the year and how many transactions that was, divide that out, figure out what that number is. And then another one that I always hear on Shark Tank is your lifetime customer value. What is the overall amount of money that you will make during the average lifetime of a customer, during the time that you have that customer? And then, of course, we will talk a little bit about, do you need to hire to hit that goal? Are you shooting really high and you're going to need some virtual assistants, or you're going to need to hire somebody to get in and help you? So let's jump in and use a couple different examples here. So if your revenue target 1.5 million, I hope that that's low for you. But if that's high, that's okay. It's just an example. How much is that monthly? Well, that's 125 grand a month that you have to make consistently in order to hit that revenue target. This particular transaction value is around $405, which means that I'm going to need around 308 purchases per month. Now, if I'm selling some sort of a widget, that might be possible. If it's a service-based industry, that's pretty specific. I mean, that's pretty high number. But basically, all you do is you take your monthly target and divide it by your average transaction value. So in this case, 125,000 divided by $405 tells me that I'm going to need 308 of those $405 purchases in order to hit my goal. Now, if that one's a little bit high for you, here's another one, 400K. That sounds a little better for some people maybe. That's an average monthly income or revenue of $33,333.33. And that, with the same $405 transaction value, that means you're going to need around 82 purchases per month. So start to look at your workbook, start to get some of these numbers today, and maybe it's not something that you can, just pull out of a hat immediately. But definitely these numbers really are at least setting the bar for you in 2019 and gives you something to shoot for. And maybe we only hit, in this example, maybe we only hit 60 the first month and 67 the second month, but you've got something where that you're gaining momentum, you've got a goal in mind, and it just makes the year a lot easier. So let's talk about how many leads you're going to need in order to kind of get to some of these numbers. So once again, we're going to need some things that you may have to go back and find. But what is your average conversion rate from caller to next step? So when somebody communicates with you, and maybe it's not a call, maybe it's somebody comes to you at a meeting, or somebody calls, or somebody fills out a form on your website, or however they contact you, how many of those are you able to convert to the next step? Whether the next step is a one-on-one meeting, it's a phone call, it's in our case, it's an audit, but there's some sort of next step that is taken. How many of those do you typically convert? Then you can take that number, your purchase target, which we talked about earlier, divide that by your conversion rate, and you'll get how many leads you need per month. So I'll give you an example because I know it's a little bit crazy. If I'm able to convert 55% of the people that call me, I went back, looked at my numbers, and just over half the people that contacted me, I was able to convert to a next step. And with our example from earlier, I need 308 purchases. When I divide that by 0.55, it tells me that I'm going to need to bring in 560 leads for that month. If I bring in 560, I convert 55% of them, that hits my goal. So it's not just knowing how many purchases you need, but understanding that not everybody that calls you is going to, write you a check. That'd be fantastic if that was the case, but that is not the case for most people. Now, your conversion rate could be a lot higher. It could be a lot lower. It really depends on what your next step is. Is your next step something easy like a $7 something, or is it a $20 something, or is it a $2,000 something? So those kind of things really kind of change what your overall conversion rate is really going to be. So this is just some math, and all of this is written in the workbook there. So when you come back later, if you don't have these numbers right now, come back, plug these in, and start to see, okay, at least I know if I'm expecting to hit 400K, I'm going to need this amount of, and I'm only converting 55% of them. I'm going to need this many leads to start coming through my door. Now, we'll talk a little bit later about making that happen, but knowing these numbers at least kind of sets a pretty good foundation, I guess you could say. So what is your goal for next year? I know for some, it's just to status quo, just make a living. For other, it's obviously to grow and have a bigger business over the next year. If you're so inclined, dump it into the Q&A section there. I'd love to hear what your goal is for next year. It could be to maybe attend an additional conference. I know Aaron's on the call, and he just got back from a conference. Those are great for business growth and business development and reaching out to other people. Is it just a revenue goal? Is it to obviously generate more leads or build your website bigger or whatever it is? These things this is a good time to start talking about it.